What are you looking for when consuming a review of audio gear, particularly when it comes to headphones? I think it's one of the hardest things to talk about because for the most part, everyone has a slightly different definition for what makes a headphone good. Not to mention that the needs change depending on the scenario. Are you looking for a single-use, all-encompassing general daily driver? Are you looking for good music quality specifically, and that can change depending on your favorite genre? Maybe you're someone without a TV, so you consume a lot of media through your tablet or laptop, home use, office use, workouts, commuting. The list goes on, and each of those situations could have a most ideal headphone that is completely unique from each other. And while you could get away with using a very inexpensive pair of wired headphones, and that's what a lot of people do, if you're here, you at least care one layer deeper. Probably. Hey, Danny with the DMGT here, your new favorite place for all things music, gaming, and tech. So as I was writing this review for the Apple AirPods Pro 2, I was thinking about what specifically makes them good, because spoiler alert, they're very good. But less from a feature by feature review or comparison to other earbuds in the market, and more from a perspective of key points that would help someone decide if they should get these or not. I'll still touch on the major features and how they compare to the rest of the market, but for the most part, this review will focus on how they perform in various scenarios. To start, these are my very first pair of Apple AirPods of any kind. Prior to these, I've been a pretty loyal user of the Jabra Elite models for the last 5 or so years, starting with the 65Ts and then the 85Ts. Now, these are a little bit closer to the standard AirPods when it comes to price point, but they do include things like active noise canceling and hear through. But the biggest reason why I hadn't moved on to the AirPods Pro until now is because I was really satisfied with the quality of the audio, the comforts, and the battery life of these Jabras. I do consider myself a bit of a casual audiophile, if you will. I have multiple headphone amplifiers on my desks, multiple over-ear headphones, and planar magnetic headphones. So for the low profile and on-the-go needs, I thought the Jabras were good enough. And I still think that they are, but that just made me even more shocked at how much of an improvement in audio quality the AirPods Pro 2 provided. When these came in a few weeks ago, I swapped out the earbuds and there was just a massive improvement in Soundscape, audio quality, bass depth. I was getting a soundstage that more closely resembled some of my over-ear headphones like my Audio-Technica M50Xs. To be perfectly clear, these aren't that, and it would be foolish to compare wireless earbuds to full-sized wired over-ear headphones with bigger drivers. But the hardware engineering and the silicon tips to give you a seal to deliver audio fidelity at this level is just impressive. As I mentioned, it's been a few weeks, so I've had a chance to walk around the city with them, take them to the gym, listen to music, take some work calls, take some phone calls, and watch some content on my iPhone 14 Pro, which a review will come for that later. So really plenty of time to get a strong feel over various scenarios. Alright, so that's a lot of foundation. Let's get into some of the details. Active noise canceling. The active noise cancellation on these AirPods Pro 2 aren't going to beat flagship headphones like a Sony XM or a Bose, but it's still very good. You know how in most ANC situations you get that weird like head pressure, almost like a cabin airplane pressure sensation after long periods of use? For the first time, I get none of that with these AirPods Pro 2. I suspect that it's the personalized ear profile Apple put in these thanks to the LiDAR and H2 chip, and it's probably that same profile that gives these AirPods Pro 2 their respectable bass boost in music, because it's the tightest sounding bass profile in any earbuds I've ever used. I haven't taken these on a flight yet, but if you're looking for a good focus session, I doubt you're going to get better active noise canceling than any earbuds in the market than these. To get into more detail on the audio fronts, I can't really speak towards the first generation AirPods Pro 2, but coming from the Jabra Elite 85Ts, which I was satisfied with, the improvement is just remarkable. The depth and sound is where I notice it the most. Where most earbuds in the past have either been very forward sounding, the AirPods Pro 2 have a much richer and deeper soundscape, without sacrificing details. Even without a drastically updated physical design, I believe you can attribute this to Apple's updated software, amplifier, and driver. The point being, they sound great. Bass has solid depth, mids are clean and clear, and the brights have a comfortable sparkle that don't leak into the tinny space. Looking at some of the charts, there is a bit of a drop in the mid-highs in music, maybe to accommodate transparency mode and spatial audio, but it's not super noticeable in regular use. I have found that the sound quality, especially for music, is best when you have active noise canceling on, but even with the setting off, they sound great. Unfortunately, these don't come with lots of support for you hi-fi heads, including myself, but honestly, most people probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference as far as earbuds go anyways, and these are still producing really strong audio fidelity that anyone will be able to appreciate. As far as the microphone quality goes on these AirPods Pro 2, they're solid, but honestly, they're still pretty standard for earbud microphones. Of course, they sound better than a standard microphone in your wired headphone, but still, it's not really going to compare to like a proper microphone. As far as taking calls outside or on the go, it'll do a decent job of suppressing wind noise, and as you can hear, it doesn't sound too thin. Now, when it comes to transparency mode, here's where I had my first real minor gripe. Even with the personalized ear and head scan and with transparency mode on, the sound was just a little too harsh on the highs for my ears. The sound just came through a little too hissy, and while it wasn't overly uncomfortable, it was definitely annoying after 5 or 10 minutes. Luckily, there is a way to adjust the intensity of transparency mode even if it's a little hidden in the settings. You have to go to accessibility, AirPods, audio accessibility settings, headphone audio, custom audio setup, and then dial in the sliders to your liking. Honestly, that's actually quite a lot of steps, but once I had that adjusted, it was scary how good these sound. It felt like I didn't even have earbuds in, which is super helpful when you're out commuting, out for a walk, or just generally need to be aware of your surroundings. And that's with music playing. The one downside I have found is when I'm wearing a hoodie and I have the hood up. The fabric is brushing up on the AirPods, and because transparency mode is making use of the various microphones these have, you get that brushing sound amplified right into your ears, which is immediately annoying. This is the one thing that I never had a problem with my Jabras, and I haven't found a way to work around this yet. So what I do now is just turn transparency mode off and also make sure that ANC is off and rely on the ambient noise coming through normally. I think some people are going to disagree with me here, but I just don't care for spatial audio. It's still a bit gimmicky to me, and I don't like the simulated surround sound feel. It is fun to test out, and it makes more sense in media consumption, and technically you are getting a more accurate immersion experience, particularly for content that Apple has specifically tuned for spatial audio. And I don't know about you, but when I'm listening to music, I want to hear the full depth and body of a mix and not the simulated in the room experience that just takes all the punch out of a song. And as I mentioned, it is more interesting in TV and movie settings, but I still prefer stereo audio. Now, to round that out on a positive note, I do think that the tech itself is super fascinating. The head tracking works really well, but I imagine this is more like laying the groundwork on audio immersion for whenever Apple decides to release a VR headset, and that's an application that I'd be much more interested in using spatial audio. The battery life, on the other hand, is impressive. Now, I haven't taken them for a full 6-hour listening session with ANC on, which is what Apple and most real-world tests are putting these at a full charge, but I have done various 2 to 3 hour sessions with active noise canceling, toggling over to transparency mode, and when I'm done, they usually have a little over 50% charge, which is putting it right at that 6-hour mark. Add in another 3 full charges or 24 hours with the case, and I've gone multiple days without needing to charge the case. Plus, the case now has support for MagSafe, Apple Watch charging, and normal wireless charging on top of the Lightning port, so it's really convenient to charge basically anywhere you are. Not to mention, the case also has built-in Find My support and built-in speakers, so you can ping it and it'll make a sound if you misplace it anywhere. It's just adding additional quality of life improvements to an already very impressive product. Overall, do I recommend the Apple AirPods Pro 2? Absolutely. These are my new favorite earbuds I've ever had, and there's a reason why these have been consistently one of the best reviewed products Apple makes. The price point actually makes sense for a device of this caliber, and overall it's just a complete package. But let me know what you think. Are you interested in these AirPods Pro 2? Was this review helpful? If it was, consider giving a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.